Continuing with the idea of sending right and wrong messages to our children, one of the most favorite verses that Anne-Marie and I find in Scripture that speaks to both a warning and encouragement to moms and dads comes from Proverbs 26:4-5. It reads this way: "Do not answer a fool according to his folly, or you will become like him. Answer a fool according to his folly, or he will become wise in his own eyes." So the question is, what does it mean to become wise in your own eyes? And Anne-Marie, how does this relate to toddler parenting?
Well, we can answer that question by the use of the funnel, which may be familiar to you from the preparation for the toddler years. And we still have the hash marks here. And this mark here represented the 12-year-old, the 6-year-old, the 3-year-old, the 2-year-old, and the 1-year-old. And for the most part, we're working right here with this 2-year-old. Well, when a 2-year-old is given the freedom to take a responsibility that belongs to a 3-year-old or a 6-year-old, and no correction is given or brought to that freedom, then the child is outside the funnel and is becoming wise in his own eyes.
And I'm glad you qualified that, honey, by saying he's becoming wise in his own eyes if there is no correction. Because during the course of the day, many times your little one will step outside the funnel, or at least try to become like Big Brother and go places where developmentally, according to his age and his abilities, he should not be, because he's not ready to handle it, both mentally, certainly maybe physically, or even emotionally. So parenting outside the funnel creates this condition in which the child will either have to be constantly corrected, which means you're adding a lot more correction that doesn't really have to be there, or if you do nothing, then you are encouraging the child to become wise in his own eyes. And this happens, I think, so often. How about restaurants? I mean, that's a popular place for young moms and dads with little toddlers. Give us a scenario there.
Well, at the restaurant, he's all finished eating and is becoming impatient, wants to get down, and if we make the choice to allow him that freedom, which developmentally he really isn't ready to handle, he then it can be a health and safety issue with the waiters and the waitresses walking around. It's violating a very important principle of the preciousness of others, because he may have that tendency to go visit the other patrons in the restaurant.
So what proactive thing can a mom and dad do in that scenario?
Well, the proactive training would become before you go to the restaurant, and to be working on this at home, the skill of being able to sit longer in the high chair, and realizing, because of his age, that to just require a 2 or a 2.5-year-old just to sit there for long periods of time is asking too much. So providing them with some quiet toys to be able to play with until everyone is finished.
And if the quiet toys don't work?
Then it might mean that there's going to be a little trip outside, that mom and dad, just one or the other, just takes Junior outside and walks around with him for a bit until everyone is finished.
And that's the moral component of our parenting, being vigilant and maintaining that perspective of the preciousness of others, giving consideration to those who come behind us and those who are in front of us, and certainly those who are on our side. I know, honey, that being outside the funnel, it happens every single day. We talked last time about being in public places like stores and with delicate items. These are called quiet hands. But we could use quiet hands also at the grocery checkout, right?
That's right. And then they just become those self-controlled hands. And we talked about that before too, about teaching the children self-control, and just fold your hands and get self-control. So it's a multitude of uses for these little hands that become folded. And just probably a word of caution too about how we sometimes inadvertently either create the child becoming wise in their own eyes, or parenting outside the funnel. And for first-time parents, we can hardly wait till our child gets to that next developmental level. But if we're constantly pushing him before he's ready, then we will do a lot of unnecessary correction. And conversely, in the homes where there are a number of children, well, your little one usually doesn't want to wait to become developmentally ready, and they push themselves up. But either way, we as the parent need to be proactive in keeping the child inside the funnel so that they do not become wise in their own eyes.
We hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe to see more, and check out the growingfamilies.life website to find more resources and to get connected.